I just want to start by reminding us all what a challenging, traumatic time that was.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. So when we stopped watching that video about Jagmeet last night, we decided to torture ourselves a little bit more, and we started watching a new press conference with Chrystia Freeland. She said something so shocking that we decided we had to do a mini video about it because, well, surprise, surprise, the mainstream media is completely ignoring it.
Help us keep this channel growing strong by hitting that like button to help push this out to more viewers. Subscribe to the channel so you are notified of our next episode. If you would like to support the channel, please give us a super thanks by clicking the button right below the video, or buy us a coffee or pizza via the Buy Us a Coffee link in the description. Let's get into it.
Subjects now for you, and just talk about the disclosure of vaccine contracts. The disclosure of vaccine contracts in South Africa. Contracts released show that vaccine manufacturers charged huge prices and required advance payments from the South African government, despite not knowing when they would even arrive. So all of this at the height of the pandemic. Will Canada release its vaccine contracts, and is it ethical for vaccine companies to be charging such large amounts during a time of a global pandemic?
Look at how uncomfortable she was in that question. She was bobbing her head all over the place. She was scrunching up her eyebrows thinking, oh, crap. This is a tough question. So basically what the question is during the pandemic, governments all over the world signed contracts with pharmaceutical companies to manufacture vaccines, right? Okay. Now, the reporter is referencing South Africa, where the companies were requiring advance payments from the South African government, but they weren't committing to any timelines or any volumes or anything of the sort. So governments were kind of held hostage by some of these pharmaceutical companies in signing deals with them and paying big money. So the question is, Chrystia Freeland, is Canada going to be making our contracts public so everyone can see what exactly went on during these deals? And the look on her face is not one of enthusiasm. The look on her face was, this was not sent to me in the pre-question rundown of this press conference.
Let's watch, shall we?
Wow, really taking me back to the challenges of peak COVID.
Wow. That says a lot. Pause. I don't know what to say. Wow. How am I going to spin this? All right.
And I just want to start by reminding us all what a challenging, traumatic time that was.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
I want to let everybody know how difficult it was so that when you see how badly I screwed the pooch, that you'll understand it wasn't my fault because it was so tough.
Listen to this lady, everybody. She's literally standing there saying, just in case any of you forgot.
Look how great we are. We handled this pandemic. It was really hard, you guys.
So hard. So hard. Holy moly. You know what? I don't even drive a car. That is now second place to this being the most ridiculous comment I've heard her say.
Actually heard from some of the early learning and childcare educators here what a challenge it was for them, for the kids, and how some of the kids only now are getting through some of the trauma they endured because of COVID, some of the educational lags. It was a really, really tough time. And our government understood that we needed to do everything we could to get vaccines here for Canadians, because we understood that by getting vaccinated, we would be able to get through this pandemic more quickly, do things like lifting the lockdowns, which were so challenging for the people working here and for the kids working here. It was a really, really tough time. I am proud of how Canada came together in a Team Canada effort, and I'm proud of how hard we worked as a country that didn't have the capacity to produce its own vaccines to get the vaccines that Canadians urgently needed at that very, very challenging time.
So in short, we did a bunch of shady stuff. And we justify it by saying, well, we had to. And I'm actually not even going to acknowledge your question about, are we going to be making these contracts available?
You know, it disgusts me the way she talks about how hard it was for the children. I mean, we've said it before, where parents have a special needs child, and he had a hell of a time during the pandemic because his normal development was interrupted because he wasn't allowed to go play with any of the other kids.
Yeah, if you want to get me very angry very quick, talk to me in a patronizing tone about how hard it was for kids. Our special needs child, as soon as they initiated the lockdowns, guess what happened? All of his therapy ended.
Yeah, the hospital just called us and said, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Northern Perspective, we're sorry. We have to cancel all of your son's appointments and we don't know when they're coming
And
next.
they didn't even have the courage to talk to us. They just left a voicemail. Okay? And all of his doctors were telling us, he needs early intervention. He needs early intervention. But we're going to completely deny every single type of therapy to you for 2 years.
And figure it out yourselves. Have fun.
Like, Trudeau robbed our child of 2 years of therapy and development.
And we know that he's not the only one. We know his story is not unique. And that's a horrible thing.
And watching him interact with other kids right now, it is heartbreaking because he is missing those 2 years. And the problem is we don't even know where he would be right now with that 2 years. He could be caught up. We wouldn't know. But he's not caught up. He's 2 years behind. So for this witch to sit there and patronize parents like that, I'm sorry. If you vote Liberal after watching this, I don't know what's wrong with you.
As I said, it was an emergency. We acted urgently, and we got Canadians the vaccines they needed.
So are you releasing the contracts? Answer, no. You got to wonder, is this the other hand that the Liberals didn't want us to see?
Of course it is.
Did they want us to see the Chinese foreign interference stuff? Well, they probably didn't. But the fact that we are seeing it, they're just sitting there hoping that, okay, well, as long as they're focusing on this, they're not going to see all this other stuff. You got to wonder.
I think they use the pandemic as a tool to divert attention away from all the other shady stuff that they're doing and are still doing.
So, your next letter to your MP, everybody, especially if they're a Liberal, is to demand to see full transparency on all of the contracts with the pharmaceutical companies as it related to the vaccine development. Okay? We need to nail these people to the wall for what they did to Canada and our children during the pandemic. I apologize for getting a little animated here, but all the dads out there know you don't get between a father and the welfare of his child.